Hello everybody, this is race number 4 from the 2022 OVKA karting season out there at G&J Kartway in Camden, Ohio. We're going out for a 17-lap final. We had a few practices and then a qualifying run out there. I qualified 7th of 16. I would say probably from 3rd place on back to about 8th place, we were all relatively close to each other. The first 2 qualifiers were probably about a good 3/10 in front of the rest of us. But we're coming around for the start. This is configuration 2B, I believe. And we're about ready to roll. I had pretty much left my kart the same as far as setup and everything from the last race out there at the Motorsports Country Club at Cincinnati. I probably should not have done that, but this is only, I think, the 4th overall race that I've had with basically putting this kart together. So I don't have all the kinks and the bugs worked out of it. I don't, I'm still figuring out what works well with it. And spoiler alert, I'm going to find out that the setup that I have today did not work too well for this configuration. The track was pretty green. I think it had rained the night before. I'll be honest, I don't remember, and I don't live that close to this spot. Now we're about to have a little altercation. The 84 gave me a light little tap there. I don't know if somebody was touching him from the back, but once he touched me, around he went, and it gathered up a few of the other karts. The 741, I think, is the number that's on it. I think it's an MGM that was right behind me. He made it through, but we got a pretty big gap on him, and for the most part, until we get towards the end of the video, you're not going to see anybody in my rear-facing camera. As I said, everybody in front of me, I was all relatively close to them in the qualifying time, so going into the race, I had aspirations of running them down once the race kind of got going. 17 laps is a long race. I kind of like the long races because, I hope the other guys get tired, although they don't necessarily do that. I just hope that happens. But, they're dicing it up a little bit, and I'm starting to close back up after the initial gap that I got. So, at this stage, I'm thinking, positive thoughts. What I didn't realize is, I went out I knew I had a little bit of camber in my front end, which I guess is the only end that you're going to have camber in, I'm not sure. But I wasn't too worried about it going into this race, but I'm going to, as the race wore on, and the fact that I had, 2 practices and the qualifying already on these tires, I basically just ground off the insides of the 2 front tires. And about halfway through this race, I'm going to start losing grip on the front. And the other thing that doesn't help, and I don't think you can hear it in the audio, is that my front bumper was really dragging a lot. And just, if I sit there and think about it, if the front bumper is dragging, I have a little bit less weight on the front end than I should have, and it's not going to bite in good around corners and things like that. So I thought I had adjusted that out, but I didn't really set my go-kart on the ground because I did have that issue on the qualifying and the practices. It was dragging, and I took the bumper off, and I thought I adjusted it up high enough, and I did not. And for some reason, it just seemed like it was dragging more during this race. But I'm basically, I've fallen somewhat out of touch with the guys in front of me. The 22, my old kart, it was up there. He's gonna pass, I think, some of the folks, and he's gonna end up finishing well up in 3rd place. He had that kart on rails, and after the race, because there was a race the following day, I did discuss, how his chassis was set up, and I made some changes on my chassis based off the conversation I had with him and some of the measurements we took off that Margay chassis up there. And I will say, for the when you see the videos for the next race, they definitely helped. I loosened the chassis up a lot for this track. For some reason, it was pretty stiff when I was at MCC, and it did well. I was right there with the leader at the finish line. Now, the next time I go to MCC, I'm going to try going out with a looser, less rigid setup and see if that even makes it better. Who knows? Like I said, I'm only in like the 4th race on this I guess rebuild of this go-kart, so I don't know how it's going to react to all the variety of chassis adjustments that you can make. And at this point right here, you know, I've closed up a little bit and I'm thinking, oh, maybe I'm going to catch these cats, but it pretty much stays almost the same, except I think up in front the 22 does get past the 89, and he will eventually get past, I believe that's the 86 up there, and get into third place. But everybody else will stay in the order that you see them in. And because it is a long race, I cut out pretty much the middle of the race as we approach up here. We're getting up to the point, like I said, where my front tires finally, you know, give up the ghost, and I start just plowing straight on a few of the corners, and I end up dropping about a half a second a lap from what I was previously running. I was running kind of lower. Well, heck, I don't remember what the down number is, if it was 46s or 47s, but I still dropped off about a half a second on my lap times. But I do throw the ending in because it'll show you how, you know, some of the effects you can other traffic has with your ability to catch up to other people. Because with this being a longer race, we did end up lapping a few people. So I kept a little bit of that footage in there. I think this is maybe the last 2 or 3 laps of the race. And you can see the 23 had stretched it out on me up there, and he's pretty far. You know, I'm just, there isn't a soul behind me. I mean, you can't see anybody back there. And I'm just logging laps because I've kind of realized I can't turn anymore very well, and I'm not going to catch the 23. Although I'm not really slowing down, I just kind of realized I'm not going to catch him. But he just hit a little bit of a lap traffic, and he hit them in not a good part of the track to hit the lap traffic at, because it's really tough to get around somebody through that bus stop area back there. And as a result, I bit off a big chunk of that gap that he had on me. And I'm looking ahead and I'm like, hey, there's one other guy. We're catching the white flag, but maybe, you know, looking at the spacing, he might hit him down there in the corners where it's tough to get around him. Like right here, if they'd have been close together, he could have just driven around him in the straightaways. But you know, the guy who's getting close to being lapped, he's not going to let off the gas. So he's going hard, and now he has caught up to him in the bus stop area, and I have closed up, and he's still not able to get around him because I think it's the 36. He got a good run through the bus stop, and you know, his cart's pretty quick, and he boogied on down there. So the 23, here I am. I'm like only a couple turns left, and I'm right there. But right here, I kind of realized, I don't have enough momentum to get around him. Nothing bad happened, so I got close. But anyways, I ended up finishing 7th, qualified 7th, finished 7th. It was an okay day. I got a little learning in about, you know, hey, maybe make some adjustments and get your camber straightened out. Talk to you all on the next video.